Okay, so now we will in this Verilog session we'll try to understand some concept of delay, multiple instances, array, generate statement, some how to use random, etc. So there are a couple of concepts which we'll try to cover. And yeah, so the objective here, this would be achieved by we want to learn a model, learn to model. So see, I'm saying we are not learning to design, we are learning to model and test an n-bit adder and study the effect of latency of the adder given the delays of basic gates. So we are assuming that the delay of basic two input and OR gate is 1 unit, and two level gates like XOR gate, two input XOR gate delay is 2 unit. So with these specifications, let's try to understand how can we model an n-bit adder. So before modeling n-bit adder, first we have to understand how an n-bit adder works. So let's say I'm trying to take this 5-bit adder. There are two 5-bit inputs. Now, if I would add them, how do we add? The way we used to do in elementary mathematics. So we'll take 1 bit by 1 bit. So we'll first add 0 and 1, and then we'll add the output would be 1. Similarly, then we add 1 and 0, then again output is 1. But when we are adding 1 and 1 in binary, it would become 1, 0. So that means 1 is a carry, 0 is the output. So I will write 0 here and 1 here, which is a carry. So in this case, what I need to do is I need to add the three inputs, 0, 1, and 1, 0, and 1. So effectively, when I'm adding it, again, the sum would be 1, 0. So that means 0 would be sum, 0 I write here, and carry I write here. Okay, so similarly for this bit also, now I have to add these three numbers, carry of the previous one, input 1, input 2. So 1, 1, 0, now I will add, the output would be 0 and there would be 1 carry. Okay, so if I see it carefully, if I have to do it in hardware, the way I am doing is, if I am able to create a 1-bit adder at any particular slice or nth bit for to calculate sum at nth bit, if I am able to create a adder which takes three inputs, one is nth bit of number 1, nth bit of number 2, and the carry of the previous n minus 1 sum block. So these three block input, if I'll add, then I would have two outputs. One is the sum of that particular stage and carry for the next stage. So I can write this whole thing as in one of the iteration. So I can write this as one instance of a full adder, which will have three inputs, A, B, and carry in. Carry in means the carry of the previous stage, and there will be two outputs, sum and carry of out. So carry out. Now, because it is going to be an n-bit adder, I need to cascade these blocks multiple times. If it is n bit, then there would be n such blocks. Okay, and if I would like to put it in diagram, so it would be something like this, that for 0th bit, because we are going from left to right to left direction. So first I will add, I'll create a block which is doing for the 0th bit, which is taking carry 0 as the input, and A0 and B0 means 0th bit of A, 0th bit of B, and sum would be given as output, and carry is also generated. This carry would be given to the next stage. Okay, so now there could be another cascaded block which is taking input from the carry of the previous stage, and then A1 means first bit of the number A, first bit of number B, and it would compute my S1. It is it's a mistake, so it is S1, and then carry would be generated. Similarly, it would be third stage, and so on so forth. For n bit, I can keep on cascading. So this particular type of adder is called called it's called ripple carry adder. Means your carry is propagating from zeroth stage, full adder 0 to full adder 1, 2, 3, etc. So because carry is propagating linearly, so it is going from one stage to second and then third, then fourth. This is called a ripple carry adder. Okay, now the question to us is we have to do two things. One, we have to model this n-bit adder in Verilog. The second thing we have to do is we have to model the delays. Okay, so for the first question, where we need to model this n-bit adder, I need to understand a couple of things in Verilog. So first thing is that there would be this. We have done a half adder design yesterday, so and full adder some of you have done as an assignment. So that means we can design a full adder instance. So full adder module, we know how to do it. Now the first thing we have to learn is we have to see that how this full adder can be instantiated multiple times. So I have to use this full adder multiple times. This is full adder 0, this is 1, this is 2, and similarly if it is n bit, there would be n such full adders. So this is first thing I have to learn. The other thing, how will I give input? So what will be the input of my n-bit adder? There are two possibilities. One possibility is that I give 2n plus 1 inputs. Means I'll give 2n inputs, another 1n inputs, then another n inputs, and then 1 bit for C in. And there would be n outputs. So this is one possibility. The other possibility is if somehow I can club all these inputs. So all the bits of A I can club into one particular input. All the bits of B I can club into another input, and all the bits of S sum I can club into one particular input. So that's what also we should try to learn. Okay. The third thing is that is there a possibility that I can generate some sort of generic n-bit adder which can have any number of inputs? So which can be a 4-bit adder or 8-bit adder or 32-bit adder, something like that. So this is also something which comes to our mind, that because the design is generic, so can I create one model which can be used for multiple types? Okay, so this is about modeling, but along with model we have to test also. So testing is also an interesting exercise here, because when we tested our full half adder yesterday, so we gave all the 4 combinations which are possible. For full adder, such combinations would be 8 only. But for this adder, n-bit adder, how many combinations would be there which we need to test? Because total number of input to my n-bit adders are 2n plus 1 bits. Because total number of inputs are 2n plus 1, so the total number of combinations which I need to check is ideally should be 2 is to power 2n plus 1. Yeah, it's written in this slide. So total possible combinations would be 2 is to power 2n plus 1, because 2n plus 1 is the number of inputs. So many combinations I need to try. Is there a solution for that? How should I go about it? So these are the 3-4 things which I need to learn, so that I can model and verify this n-bit adder. So when we are going through demo, then try to put your attention on these 3-4 points. Okay, now the second point is about delay. So for delay, again, I'll ask a question here, that before actually modeling, so let's understand this question. So can you tell me what would be the delay of this circuit? So let us say our 2-input AND gate or 2-input OR gate will have 1 unit of delay. What is the delay of this circuit? How much is the maximum latency? So let us say, I'll rephrase the question. So let's say my input A, B, C, all of them are available at 0 time. At what time we can expect the C out to be available in worst case? What is the maximum time after that C out would be available? Okay, so if possible, yeah, try to put your answers in your chat window. And what would be the answer if I'm giving this? You know that the delay of two input AND gate is 1. Okay. So with this, I would, yeah. Please write your answers in chat. No, it's not 2 unit. Try to understand again. Um, 2 input AND gate has a 1 unit of delay. What would be the delay of 3 input AND gate or 3 input OR gate? Yes, maximum 4. Maximum 4 is, yeah, okay. I would like to see more answers. Good. So you have some idea. Um, good. Okay, so with this thing in mind, so actually it would be 3 units, because this will take 1 unit. All of them are running in parallel. This is the most important thing to note here, that this gate, all these 3 gates are would be in parallel. That is most important thing to note. Now, this particular gate, because it's a 3 input OR gate, it has to be broken into 2 inputs OR gates. Because it is broken into 2 input OR gates, so this OR gate will take 3 unit of delay, 2 units of delay. So total delay would be 1 unit for this and 2 unit for this. The maximum delay would be 3 units. Okay, so the 2 important things: one, that all these AND gates are working in parallel. The second gate, if the number of inputs are increasing, then the delay will increase. Okay, so with this background, let us try to see the demo, and we will go through this our exercise. Yeah. So let us first try to see that how will I answer those questions of designing full adder. Now, here I'm giving 5 inputs. One is input 1, input 2, C in, sum, and C out. Okay, and as we done yesterday, we will also classify my IN1 and IN2 and C in as inputs, and sum and C out as output. Good. Okay, so the logic for full adder. So first thing we have to design is full adder. So when I'm saying input IN1, input IN2, so that means all of these signals are single bit. Is only 1 bit signal. Okay, so and then these are the intermediate wires. Now there are 2 parts of this question. One, we have to model; the other, we have to also model the delay. Okay, and third, we have to test also. So and the question is given that we have to assume only 2 input gates. So that means, because I have to model delay, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm assigning, I'm declaring some intermediate signals. These intermediate signals are a result of, so the logic equation for sum is IN1 ZOR IN2 ZOR C in. So I have broken that equation into 2 parts. One is P sum, which is ZOR of IN1 and IN2, and then whatever is the output, that again I have ZORed with the C in. So that means this is modeling. So sum equal to IN1 ZOR IN2 ZOR EN. Okay, so similarly the other equation which was represented here also, so I have to create these 3 AND gates, and for this OR gate I have to again create 2 different OR gates. So you can see here that first I have ANDed IN1 and IN2. This is first AND gate, this is second AND gate, this is third AND gate, and then the output of PC1 and PC2 would be ORed here, and whatever is the output, that would be ORed with PC3, so to get the output. So this way I am able to model my full adder module, which says the functionality. And whenever I am writing hash, so as discussed yesterday, this hash needs a delay. So that means this computation would take two cycles or 2 units of time. So as discussed yesterday, there are two ways of putting it. One is that we are saying hash 2, which means that this psum would be available after 2 units of time. And sometimes people also put a hash here. This hash essentially means that this input would be available after 1 unit of time to this right hand side, left hand side. Okay, so when we are writing this hash delay here, it has more significance of the transfer delay. Transfer delay means that sometime we have to consider that wires take some time. So this is essentially a wire delay, and when we are writing delay here, which is mostly the computational delay of that particular statement. Okay, so this is again a generic understanding, not the like people still try to do different ways. Okay, so this is how we'll make full adder. The next question is that how we'll make a 4-bit full adder. So instead of making it n-bit full adder, first I am breaking this question into the simpler one that we would like to design or model. We would like to model a 4-bit adder. Okay. So now, if I have to design a 4-bit adder, the way it is done is like this. So I'm taking again the same 5 inputs, IN1. I'm writing it _4 just for disambiguation. Not any other major purpose. So we can still say IN1. For disambiguation, I'm writing IN _1, IN2 _1. So these are the 2 inputs, and similarly C in, sum 4, and C out. So remember when we were discussing a couple of minutes back, we were saying the total number of inputs, if it is a 4-bit adder, is 4 inputs of A, 4 inputs of B plus C in. So that means 9 inputs plus 5 outputs. Now we have clubbed all the 4 inputs of first operand into IN1 _4. Similarly, the 4 inputs of second operand has been combined into IN2 _4. Okay, so somehow we have to tell that this input is this variable or this particular parameter input is actually a 4-bit input. So whenever we are declaring them, we are saying that this is input and this is of type vector, bit vector. Okay, so remember this is a bit vector, which means that these are the combination of 4 bits, not a combination of 4 integers, because default data type here is bit. So we are here creating a combination of 4, and whenever we are writing 3:0, so it means that your 0th bit would be addressed. 0th bit would be, so your rightmost bit would be addressed by 0 and your leftmost bit would be addressed by 3. Okay, so this is how 3:0. So you can also write 0:3, but in that case your leftmost bit would be considered as 0 and 3 would be your rightmost bit. Okay, so this is again left to right combination. Now similarly, C sum also is declared as a bit vector. Now the next question which we had to understand was that how we can use the same full adder which is created like a module here. How can I use it multiple times? So here I'm creating 4 different instances of full adder. So this full adder is the name of entity or name of module, and this is first instance which is called FA1, and similarly FA2 is the second instance, third instance, fourth instance. How these instances are different? These instances are different the way they are taking input. So for example, my FA1 first instance is taking 0th bit of IN1, 0th bit of IN2, and 0th bit of INTR. This also we see that this I have created a wire or a temporary signal which is called C intermediate or C inter. So in C inter, I have created the 0th bit is fed with C in. So this is essentially C in, which is coming from the input, and so this is my input, and output is 0th bit of sum, and output carry out is connected to C intermediate 1. So that means the next carry. So this thing also you need to understand that in second instance of full adder, I am connecting this output which has been generated by FA1 to the input of FA2. Okay. Similarly, the output is C inter 2. This C inter 2 is the input to FA3. And the output of FA3 C inter 4 is given as the input of FA4. So this way we are able to create 4 different instances of full adder, and the interconnection or wires which we are connecting to those inputs and outputs are making the difference. So similarly, there could be thousands of blocks which can be instantiated. Once we have created a Verilog module, that Verilog module can be used further to instantiate any number of modules, any number of instances. The difference between one instance and another instance would be what input and output it is connected to. Okay, so if we create a diagram like this, then it makes things easier for us that which input should be connected here. So for example, C0 was connected here, C1 was connected here. So this way, this particular type of modeling in Verilog is called structural modeling. So we write a structure, we write a gate level specification, and then we can use Verilog as a model to that, as a modeling language to that. We can represent all those intermediate signals, and we can write all of them in Verilog. Okay, so this was about writing this 4-bit adder. Now, if I want to simulate, I want to test it. So testing has the major challenge in testing is that how will I test all those combinations which are possible here? So for example, here the total number of inputs are 4 plus 4 plus 1, 9 inputs. So total number of combinations I should test is 2 to the power 9. That means 512. So all those combinations I should enumerate and then see what would be the output. Okay, so let's see how we do this. And writing test bench is again, as we did yesterday, this block is having empty or no ports, and internally we are writing these registers for the input and wires for the output, and we instantiate this DUT full adder 4, and then we say that test input is connected to IN1 underscore 4, test input 2 is connected to IN2 underscore 4, test Cin is connected to Cin, and test sum is connected to sum4. Test out, Cout is connected to Cout. And then as usual, we are starting with the initial block, and in initial block now we are giving various stimulus. So here my test input as written here also, so it's a 4-bit input. Now these 4 bits, I can give those 4-bit input here. Like I have to say that I have to define it is actually a 4-bit, and then the number is described in a binary format. So I'm writing this hyphen B, and then I'm writing all these 4-bit numbers. So similarly, test input 1, test input 2, I am creating some numbers, and then so similarly I have created some couple of combinations. Then this #20 means the next input would be applicable only after 20 units of time. So if I keep on writing this way, and I would like to enumerate also, there are 2 possibilities I have. So one possibility is that I enumerate all the 512 inputs, or the other possibility is I choose some random ones And if I want to choose random ones, then how many random ones should I choose? And how good I would be in choosing a random inputs. So rather than that, one effective thing could be possible is we write this kind of a logic. We say we would like to repeat or we would like to create some 10 different random inputs. Okay, so Verilog intrinsically provide this dollar random function. This dollar random returns a 32-bit random number to you. And now using this ampersand or mode 16, it would return actually only a 4-bit number. So this way I am able to give a 4-bit random number to test input and similarly 4-bit random number to test input 2 and 1-bit random number to test C in. And then I went ahead and simulated it. Okay, so along with that, as we did yesterday, we have created a dump file which is full adder4.vcd and also dumped all the variables. So one change from yesterday we have used display statement, dollar display, and if you remember, this dollar display statement was written after each of the stimulus input, so that we can see what is the output corresponding to each stimulus. Now here, instead of writing display, I am writing dollar monitor. So dollar monitor is another command. Okay, so yeah. So one thing I would like to stress here is that the way we are learning our Verilog is by doing it, or by we are learning syntax by syntax. It's not a systematic way of learning. Like we are not learning language by first studying all the syntax and doing it, but we are trying to learn syntax by a couple of commands and by trying to use it, and then we'll keep on learning new and new syntax like this. So that's why instead of display, today I'm trying to use monitor so that we try to see how this monitor will work. Okay, so in monitor, the additional thing I'm doing is I'm writing here $time and then space, then in1 $b, percentage b, in2 percentage b, c in percentage b, and test input 2. All of these things I'm giving so that I can read the value of input 1, input 2, C in, sum, and C out. Okay, so what we'll do next, we will save it, and after saving, we will also enable, we'll set our tools right. We will say that we will use which tool we are using. We are using iKeras, and after iKeras, after iKeras, we also enable this option that open EP wave after run. Okay, so this is log. I'll click on the run. There is a problem with the server, so let's do it again. Okay, so here we go. Okay, we have not enabled that, so we'll enable that also. Okay. Okay, it is not showing any signal. That is interesting. So to get the signal, to see the signal here, I have to write get signals. Okay, so this is further interesting. So you will see interesting thing here that I can define what signals I would like to see. For example, I can see in the scope of test bench full adder, then I have these 4 signals which I can see. and I will append those selected signals. The other thing, you can see that I can also see all the signals within DUT or within full adder, within full adder 2, within full adder 3. So all of those things we can see. Okay, so let's say I want to append some of these signals also. I can select only the selected signals, not all the signals. And so this way, now remember our second objective, we also would like to analyze the delay part. So our input is being supplied after some 20 units of time. So let's see here. Okay, so you see couple of interesting things here. So you see that when time was 0, when time was 0, for initial some time, my test output was undefined. We didn't know what is the output. It is saying it is X. X means it is not known what was the output. We could know my test input was 0, test input 2 was also 0. This test input was 0 and test input 2 was 1. Input 1 is 0, input 2 is 1. So even adding 0 to 1, it says that it took some time, and only at the, and there was a carry also which was 1. Okay, so there was a carry 1 only at this time, which is 5 seconds. Only after 5 units of time, is this, yeah, only after 5 units of time we could know what is the value of, yeah, only after 5 units of time we could know the value of sum. So that means my overall delay of this 4 input adder is at least 5 units of time. So let us see at the other case. I'll try to define my inputs in binary so that we can see easily. Now the next time at 20 nanoseconds, 20 units of time, we give the input 6 and 7. The output will become 6 and 7 will become 14 plus, because carry is 1. So you see the output we could see only at 25 units of time. So that means it took me some 5 units of time here. Okay. Now let us analyze little more for the next one. The next one is this is the input, this is 10 and this is 11. My output was available after 49. So basically after 9 units of time. So there are two observations here. One observation is that yes, till this output is stabilized, my output is keep on varying. Initially it was 1, so after some 2 units of time it was 1 1 1 1, and after another 2 units of time it was 1 0 1 1, then again switched back to 1 1 1 1, and finally the output become 1 1 1. So that means when this output will get stabilized, there is no further change. That would mean that that's the delay of this whole adder. This 4-bit adder, that means, would have a delay of some 9 units of time. And the other interesting observation is it is different for different inputs. So for example, my initial first or second input had a delay of only 5 units of time, but here the delay was 9 units of time. And we have to either look for all these combination of inputs and then finalize that, yes, how much delay is there. Okay, so yeah, so these are the couple of observations here, and this way we have to further analyze also that what kind of delays would be there. So yeah, another thing I would like to show you is this, that for example, if I am making any other input as highlighted, so it says what is the path. So sometime, because all of this I can get the signal for the other one also. So you see So you see there is a C out here, there is a C out here. How will I differentiate between this C out and this C out? Because all of them are for full adder. So it says that this particular C out is for TB full adder 4 DUT FA1. And while this particular C out is for FA2. So this is what is the importance of my selecting different instance names. Different instance name would correspond to different paths, and so we can see the signal for each and every unit. So this is how we can design as well as test. Okay, so one more observation and question here, that if you see, we have seen that in our presentation also, and now also we see that all of these 4 adders, they are essentially have very similar kind of inputs. Can we automatically generate this code, or can we create a generic code? Okay, so if I want to create a generic code, then I will see something else. Just hold on for a moment. So using this playground, I can see what all source codes I have written. So this is the other one. Now here, yeah, I'll first make this change so that, or maybe I'll write 2 here. Okay, so here what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a generic adder. So this generic adder, which can take any number of inputs, but you have to define how many inputs are there. So if I want to create a generic adder, then I have to write a parameter here. I want to say that this particular adder is a parameterized adder. So I am defining, while defining the module, I am saying that this module takes a parameter n whose default value is 8. Okay, we always have to give a default value of parameter because it's a hardware. So it has to generate at least something when nothing is given, when no parameter value is given. Okay, rest things are very similar, IN1, IN2, C in, sum, and C out. And because my adder is generic, so I have to say here that this input is actually of n-1 to 0. So if it is 4, n equal to 4, then it is 3:0. If it is n equal to 8, then it is 7:0. So that means my input is a n-bit number, but this n could be varied, could be different for different instances. Okay, similarly my sum is also n-bit number. Okay, so very similar to syntax which we have done in our previous 4-bit adder. I can write the similar statements here, but most important thing is that I have to write this genvar, so which means that it's a very special variable which can be used to generate different instances. Here I'll use this syntax. One is genvar I. Genvar is a very special syntax. Whenever I would like to generate iteratively, or I would like Verilog to generate different instances, and then we'll use a keyword generate, and that means and generate also. And then I can write a simple for loop. This for loop looks like a very much similar to a C for loop, where I say for I equal to 0, I is less than n, I equal to I plus 1, begin, and then all these different instances of full adder can be created. So full adder FA, I can say that input 1 is connected to ith input of ith wire of input 1, and similarly IN2 is connected to ith input. So you see this IN2 is the IN2 of my full adder, which is a single bit, and this IN2 is in the current scope, which is a n-bit IN2. So I'm saying ith bit of this IN2 is connected to IN2 of my full adder. So similarly, C in intermediate I, which is generated, which is consumed, and which is generated here. Okay. So because I have to make it generic, so I will make C intermediate 0 as C in here, and in the end I will assign C intermediate n to my C out. So this is how I can create a generic module which can take a parameter and which can be at the instance. Whenever I'm creating the instance, then I can declare that how many input wires would be there for that module. So here, for example, now I am creating a test bench. I have created two instances of this n-bit adder. One, I am creating DUT4, which is 4-bit adder. Another, I am creating DUT8, which is n-bit adder. So to define how many bit adder, I have to use this another keyword which is called def param, define parameter. So this def param, I can say that DUT.n is equal to 4, and yeah, this is wrong. This has to be 8. Yeah, DUT of 8 dot n should be 8, and this should be 4. Okay, now these are two different instances I have created. Because they are two different instances, so similarly I will create two different set of inputs. One would be test input 1. I'll call it test 4 underscore input 1, which is 4-bit. Similarly, test 8 underscore input 1, input 2, they're all 8 bits. So I created two set of input, one which is of 4-bit, another which is of 8-bit. And then I have instantiated both of them. And now here, instead of giving the values, I have directly generated the values using random numbers. So these 4-bit inputs are generated using percentage 16, and 8-bit values are generated using percentage 256. Okay, and yeah, finally we can monitor all these things, and then we can dump file and see. So here, to make it easy, I am currently monitoring only 4-bit case. So maybe we can run it again to see the 8-bit case also. So let us run and see how it works. Okay, so it's very similar to there, that total delay, maximum delay is, yes, here it's 11 seconds also. Good. So what is the difference, why it is 11 seconds? That's also worth investigating. Good to see. So now you see, because this is test 4, this is test 8. Now in case of test 4, we have only 4-bit inputs, while in case of test 8 we have 8-bit inputs. Because number of inputs are more, so there could be more delays. Okay, so if we convert it into binary radix, yeah, so then in the binary we can see that whether the numbers are added correctly or not. There is no integer option here. That's slightly difficult to use, but yes. So it has created some 10 different options, 10 different random numbers, and then we can verify whether our generated output is correct or not. Correct. So this way, these random things can be tested and can be verified. Okay, so one more thing I would like to show here is use of this monitor. So now you see that what is the difference between display and monitor? So in display, whenever you have issued that display statement, then only it will print the command, print these numbers. But in case of monitor, what it does is every time there is a change in signal. So here, let's say we see this. My inputs are this. At 160 nanoseconds, these were the inputs, and then my out 0, then sum was 1110, and finally the sum is 0110. And after that, there was no change in the sum while the inputs were constant. So every change is detected whenever we are using monitor. Okay, so that's how monitor would help you in identifying all the changes, giving all the transitions correctly. So this helps us in debugging also. Okay, so this is how sometime monitor would help you and sometime display would help you, and this dumpware will anyway will try to sample each and every transition of all the signals, even those signals which we are not monitoring here because we are using this dumpware command. Okay, so with this, I can, yeah, I'm done with this demo part. I can share both of these codes with you, which were anyway shared. When I'll upload the PDF, I'll give the link of both of these codes. Okay, so now let us